This is what different types of arrays. Okay, so we were talking that arrays are a collection of homogeneous elements that share a common name. Okay, or a group of similar data type elements if you store using a single variable name, and that variable is called an array. Okay, so here we have seen an example int a of 20. Okay, so after this variable name a, you can see the square brackets, a set of square brackets, and inside the square brackets we have given how many elements we want to store. Okay, so this a is called here an array which can store 20 integer numbers. Okay, so what are different types of arrays? One dimensional array and two dimensional, or you can also call them as a multi-dimensional array, or three dimensional. Multi-dimensional means two dimensional, three dimensional, like this they are called as a multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, so let us start with a one dimensional array, then we'll go to two dimensional array. Okay, so first we'll try to understand what is one dimensional array. Okay, so how can we define one dimensional array? That means a list of elements can be given one name using one subscript, and such a variable is called a one dimensional array. This is the definition of a one dimensional array. How we can define a one dimensional array? A list of elements, a set of elements can be given one variable name using one subscript, and such variable is called as a one dimensional array. Okay, so that means here we are using only a single subscript. This set of square brackets we are using, no, this is called a subscripts here. Okay, so one set of square brackets means one subscript we are using. Okay, so best mathematical example, you can take vector. Okay, so if v is a vector, in mathematics, if v is a vector containing some elements, okay, like say 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. If this is v is a vector containing 4 elements, how we denote these elements? This we denote by using a single subscript. Here you might have used this kind of subscript, v of I. Okay, so where I is a subscript here. Okay, so v of 1 we call it as v of 1, v of 2, v of 3. Okay, like this individual elements can be accessed using this single subscript notation. Okay, so the same concept we are also applying in arrays. Okay, so if you use only one subscript, then that is called as a one dimensional array. That is called as a one dimensional array. Okay, so a list of numbers we can store in this one dimensional array. So how to declare this one dimensional array? Now this is C programming. Now we have to understand how to declare one dimensional array in our C programming. So declaration of one dimensional array. And please remember, arrays must be declared. They must be declared before they are used, otherwise compiler gives error. Okay, so this rule also applicable to variables. Okay, so any variable, since array is also a variable, any variable without declaration, if you use in C programming, compiler gives error. That's why all the variables declaration will give at the beginning of a main function. First we declare, then we use that variable. Okay, so here also arrays also must be declared before they are used. Why? So that, because how many elements you want to store, that information you must give to the compiler. Okay, so that the compiler can allocate enough memory, compiler can allocate enough memory for storing the elements of the array. Okay, so for that purpose we need to declare the array at the beginning of the main function. Okay, so they must be declared before they are used. Why? Means so that the compiler can allocate enough memory, because compiler should understand how many elements you are going to store in that array. Okay, so that information if you pass to the compiler, then the compiler allocates enough memory for storing all those elements of that array. Okay, so the general form. Okay, so if you see the general form of declaration of a one dimensional array. Okay, I am writing in short. So how the array declaration should start with the data type. Okay, so what type of data you are going to store, then followed by array name, give some name like any other variable name. Okay, so specify name of the array, and then within the square brackets give size of the array, give size of the array. Okay, so here where why data type specifies the type of elements that will be stored. Okay, so the type of element that will be stored in the array. Okay, so examples you can say such as int, float, or char, double, etc. You can take any number of any type of data type there. Okay, so this is the general form of a declaration of one dimensional array. Okay, so first give data type and then followed by array name, and within the square brackets mention the size of the array ending with a semicolon, because it's a declaration, it should end with a semicolon. So here the data type specifies what type of data you are going to store in the array. Okay, so that information you must give to the compiler, because different data types takes different amount of memory for storage. Okay, so based on this data type, then it allocates memory for this array here. Okay, then what is the size parameter there? Size. Okay, so size indicates the maximum number of elements that can be stored in the array. Okay, so how many elements you are going to store in the array? Okay, so that information also we must pass to the compiler. during declaration. Okay, so example declarations, if you take say int, okay, say x of some 10, then end with a semicolon. So here int is nothing but the data type which tells that I am going to store integer numbers. Okay, so here my array name is x and the size is 10 here. That means 10 elements I am going to store in this array x. That is the meaning. And then the compiler allocates a memory for these 10 elements. Okay. Similarly, you can also declare with another data type, say float. Okay, so float something like you want to store salaries of employees. Okay, so salary of 50. For example, you have 50 employees in your organization. So then you can declare an array by name called salary and size you specify as 50. So 50 employees salary now you can store in this array. Okay, so this way when you want to store a group of elements, okay, so a collection of data if you want to store, then we'll go for arrays. Clear? Okay, right. So what happens in the ordinary variable declaration? We said that when we declare, immediately memory will be allocated for this array. Yes or no? Okay. Similarly, when you declare, memory will be allocated for the variable. Similarly, when you declare an array, for this array also memory will be allocated. Okay. So how memory is allocated? We'll see that. Just let me open. Right. So memory diagram. Font, is it visible or shall I increase? Okay, so now if you see memory diagram of one dimensional array. Okay, so example I am taking here, say for example I take something like int, say some x of 5 I take here, x of 5. Okay, so how memory for this x is allocated? Okay, so then it will be like this. Right, so when you declare an array x of size 5 elements, then this is how 6 we got. So let me delete. Right, this is the memory allocation for x. Okay, so here this entire block of memory is identified with the name right. So this entire block of memory is given identified with the name Right. So I'll remove this so that I can use this here. Okay, right. Now see here. So for 5 elements, the memory will be allocated in this way. So how much total memory will be allocated here? Total how much memory is allocated? Each element of that means first element integer, second element integer, third element integer, fourth element also integer, fifth element is also integer. Okay. So integer means 4 bytes, 4, 4, 4, 5 into 4, total 20 bytes of memory will be allocated for this variable x, and all these 20 bytes consecutively the memory will be allocated at one place. Okay, and this entire block of memory is identified by the name x. In memory it is identified by the name x. Okay, but this x is not a single value. X is a composite member here. Okay, that means x contains different values inside it. Okay, so how to access these individual members? How to access these individual members? Okay, so for that they used an array indexing method. Okay, so the first element index will be at 0. Okay, so the first element index starts at 0. Still bigger you want? Okay, so this is 0. Then the next element, second element will be at index 1. Then third element will be at index 2. Then fourth element will be at index 3. And fifth element will be at index 4. Okay, so this is how individual elements are accessed by using this index. Okay, so this is called array index. Okay, so we call it as index. Okay, right. Still it needs some space, I think. Okay, let it be. Right, what I do is I'll keep this here. Okay, right. So this 3 should come here. And 4 should go here. All right. So this is how the memory for array will be allocated. Okay. So initially we have not given any elements. Okay. So that's why garbage value will present in this array. Garbage value will present in this array. Okay. So then how we can store values in this memory? Okay. So values can be assigned to the array as follows. Okay, so you can just assign the values in this way. Okay, now see here, this first element is at index 0. We said at index 0. Okay, so index 0 of whom? Array x. Of whom? Array x. So that's why this element location, this location, first location will be accessed by using a notation called as a x of 0. X of 0 is equals to, okay, so 10, then end with a semicolon. So in such case, then 10 will be stored in this location. Okay, then similarly you can say, so here x right. Okay, so x, small x I have used here. Okay, so x of 0 is equal to 10. Okay, so similarly we can use the notation. Where is the second element? At which index? At index 1. So that's why we access the second element location as x of 1. So x of 1 is equals to 20. When you say x of 1 is equal to 20, then 20 will be stored in this memory location. Then similarly, how we can access third element? Third element will be at location 2. Okay, so then we access the third element location by using the notation x of 2. So x of 2 is equals to 30. If you say, then 30 will be stored in this memory location. Okay, then similarly fourth element, how we can access? Okay, fourth element will be at a location 3. Okay, so x of 3 is equals to 40. If you say, then 40 will be stored in this memory location. And similarly, how we can access the fifth element? X of 4. So then if you say x of 4 is equals to 50, then 50 will be stored in the last element location. Okay, so this way the elements can be stored or assigned to the array. Okay, so now you have stored 5 integer numbers using a single variable name, and this is called a one-dimensional array. This is called as a one-dimensional array. Clear? So this way we can assign the values to the array. Now what we are doing here, we are declaring array at one place, then we are assigning the values at other place. Okay, so sometimes you want to initialize these values at the time of a declaration. Okay, so how we can perform initialization of a one-dimensional array? How we can do? Is it possible? Yes, possible. When initialization of ordinary variables is possible, then array is also a variable. Then you can perform initialization of a one-dimensional array. Okay, so how we can do initialization of one-dimensional array? If you see the general form of initialization one-dimensional array is, okay, so if you see the general form, it begins with the data type. Okay, so then followed by array name, then within the parenthesis give size of the array, then followed by assignment operator equals to, then because you are assigning more than one value, okay, so those values must be enclosed in a parenthesis. Okay, so list of values you specify within the parenthesis. Okay, so then close, end with a semicolon. Okay, so this is the general form of initializing a one dimensional array. So it should begin with the data type followed by array name, and within the bracket specify size of the array, and after assignment operator equal to symbol specify all the elements within the curly braces. Okay, so example, if you see here, example, now I can say int x of 5 is equals to, okay, so now I can say 10 comma 20 comma 30 40 50, end with the semicolon. Okay, so both declaration of array and assignment of values both can be done at one place, and this is called initialization of one dimensional array. So when you initialize a one dimensional array in this way, the memory for the array will be created and the elements will be stored in this form. Clear? Okay, so one flexibility when you initialize the array is no need to mention the size of the array at the time of initialization. Okay, so that means just take a note of it. So during initialization, an array, the size may be omitted. Okay, so you can ignore the size of the array. Okay, so that means example, the same declaration if you want to initialization if you want to perform, then it can be done in this way. Okay, so in this case then you can just give an empty brackets. Okay, so you can say int x and empty brackets is equal to, then you pass all the elements. Okay, so what how the memory will be allocated for this array, because we have not specified the size here. Okay, so how much memory will be allocated by the compiler for this array x? That means what it will do is it counts the number of elements supplied during initialization. How many number of elements you supply, it counts, and then internally the compiler initializes its size to that number. Okay, so because here we have supplied 5 numbers, then its size will be initialized to 5 internally by the compiler. So then it allocates memory in this form for storing those 5 elements this way. Clear? Okay, so this is declaration of a one-dimensional array, then assigning values to one-dimensional array, and then initializing this is declaration assigning the values. Then this is the initialization of one dimension. Okay, and during initialization you can ignore the size parameter here. Okay, so now how we can use this in a program. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so I will just or shall we go to code blocks so that we can see the execution also, right? So open an empty file here, then type your program here. Okay, so just write the comment here. Well, first let me save the file so that you can see the different colors for keywords. So what is this one dimensional array? No, this is, so I'll say one dimensional array. Okay, so by default it is C++ file. Okay, so .c extension it takes, right? Now so So I can say program to demonstrate one-dimensional array. Okay, so now how it can be used in a program. So the first line that has to be included in your program is header file. Okay, so include the header file stdio.h. Okay. Write the main function, then begin the main. Okay, so here I would like to store ages of all the students in a class. Okay, so that means in a class, assume there are some 50 or 100 number of students are there. Okay, so I want to store their ages. Okay, so then I'll declare an array by name called as a age and size 50. Okay, so 50 students ages I would like to store. Okay, so then declare another variable. This is first thing. Okay, so you have to first thing is you have to declare an array of size 50 based on number of elements. Okay, but I don't want to store all the 50 students ages. Okay, so because entering 50 numbers takes a lot of time. Okay, so then you ask the user how many students ages he wants to store. So for that you declare a variable called as a n. Okay, so then whenever we work with a one dimensional array, repeatedly you have to read the number. So for that you require a loop here. Okay, so for that we declare a loop control variable called I here. Okay, so these are the variables that are required. Okay, so first ask the user. He has declared for storing 50 students ages. Okay, but ask the user how many, or sometimes because without knowing exactly how many are there. Okay, so what we do is generally we declare a variable for storing maximum capacity. Okay, so that's why we declare age of 500 or age of 1000 that way, but there may not be 500 students. Okay, so that's why we ask the user how many students are there. Okay, so just I'm asking the user how many students are there. Okay, so he enters some number, say only 10 students are there in my class, that way. Okay, so read the number entered by the user, then say address of n. Only n students ages I would like to store. Okay, so then ask the user to enter those students ages. So then say printf. Now ask the user to enter %d students age values. Okay, so here that means in a class only 5 students are there, 10 students are there, that number we are storing in a n. Okay, so then on the screen it should display enter 5 students age values, enter 10 students age values, enter 10 students age values. That way the message should appear on the screen. So that's why I'm using %d here. Okay, so instead of saying enter n students, n means how much we do not know. Okay, so but the actual number has to be displayed here. So that's why I write here enter %d students here. So whenever you use a format specifier where from the value should be printed, that must be given after the comma here. Okay, so from which variable? From variable n you print the value in that place. That is what we are informing the compiler. Okay, so then the student enters the 5 students ages something value. Okay, so now you have to read those values one by one. Okay, so continuously you have to read. So that's why you read it, you need a loop here. Okay, so the best loop for working with arrays is for loop. Okay, so for then initialization part, I is equals to 0. Why 0? Now I am beginning I with 0 because array indexing starts with 0. The first element will be at location 0. Okay, so that's why I initialize I to 0. Okay, so then I less than how many elements? N elements are there. As long as I becomes equal to n, then I say I plus plus. Okay, so this is how you can use a loop repeatedly to read the values. Okay, so how can I read? By using scanf. Scanf percentage d comma, now you can say address of. Okay, so where to store? Where to store? I want to store the values in the variable called as a age. Okay, address of age. Age is not a single variable. Okay, so it is an array variable, so you have to specify in which location you have to store. So then the location numbers we are caching in the variable called as a I. So that's why you pass the variable I as a argument to this. Okay, so address of age of I. Now you say this is how you can read the values one by one from this array. For example, I'll take the example here, just you see here. Okay, so when this message is displayed, enter 5 students age values, it will be like this. Now on the screen, when this program is executed, only this line I am talking about. Okay, so by after coming here, then for example I'll take only 3 students. Okay, so enter 3 students age values. Then what the user will do? The user enters in this way. So 20, okay, so 19, then 22, like this. The user enters 3 age values here. Okay, so now your program cannot read all the 3 at a time. You have to read one by one value and store in this array. Store in this array. Okay, so then your program comes here, then it starts executing this loop. Okay, so the loop begins with I is equal to 0. I value becomes 0. 0 less than 3. Yes, true. So then it comes to scanf. Scanf percentage d. Only 1 percentage d. That means it reads the first number. 20 it reads and stores in the age of 0. Okay, so that means in the first location 20 will be stored. Okay, if you see the memory diagram, now this is the first memory location. So assume this is age. Okay, so age of 0, here the first value will be stored here. Clear? Okay, so then because there is only one statement, after executing this scanf, control goes to I plus plus. I becomes now 1. Again checks the condition. 1 less than 3. Yes, true. Then again it comes here, scanf percentage d. That means read the second number. So it reads the next number 19 and stores in age of 1. Age of 1. In the location age of 1, the second value will be stored. Okay, so after that again it goes to I plus plus. I becomes 2. 2 less than 3. Yes. Then scanf percentage d, that immediately it reads the next number 22 it reads. Okay, so then stores in address of 2, age of 2. In the address of age of 2, age of 2 address. Okay, so in that memory location it stores. So 22 will be stored in a age of 2. So age of 0 contains 20, age of 1 contains 19, age of 2 contains 22. Okay, so then after again control goes to increment part, I plus plus. I becomes 3 here. Okay, so then checks the condition, 3 less than 3, false. Then comes out from the loop. Okay, so then control comes here. Okay, so that's how if you enter all the values, okay, so those values must be read one by one and stored into the array by using a singular for loop in this way. Is it clear? Right. Now once the elements are in the array in this form, okay, so assume this is your array. What I do is I copy paste this. Assume this is your array. Okay, so containing only 3 or 5, whatever it may be. Okay, so assume the age values you have entered in this way. Okay, so 20, 22 something. Okay, then 19, then 20 again. Okay, so then 21 again, like this. Okay, so 5 students age values will be stored here in this memory locations. Okay, so hope you know this will be stored at location 0. Okay, so then this will be at location 1, then this will be at location 2, and this will be at location 3, and this will be at location 4. That way age of 1, this entire array name is now age, this entire array name is a age now. Okay, so age of 0, age of 1, age of 2, age of 3, age of 4, like this 5 students ages will be stored. Okay, right. So once now the values are in the array, now how can we access the elements from the array again? Okay, so now you want to print on the screen. So once you come out from the loop, just you give a message here to print some message here. Okay, so the age values of students. Okay, so just you want to print some message, the age values of students, some header you want to print here. Okay, so again you want to access these elements repeatedly. Okay, age of 0, age of 1, age of 2, age of 3, age of 4, repeatedly you have to read one by one from this array. Okay, so when there is a repetitive operation, what you need to do, you need to use a for loop here. Okay, so now the same for here. Now again you have to start from a first element onwards, which is at index 0. So for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Now instead of scanf, this time now you say printf. Okay, so printf percentage, this time you say 4d, because you want to give spaces between the values. I'll just show you what happens if you directly write d, and if you write 4d, how the output will be displayed. Okay, so just save the program. 4d comma age of I, now you can say. Okay, so it prints all the values. Then finally after return 0, close. That's it. This is your program where you can demonstrate how a one-dimensional array can be used in the program, and how elements can be stored into the array, again from the array how they can be read and printed on the screen. Okay, so shall we execute this? Now if you execute, first build the program. Two errors, yeah, these things we have introduced. These must be removed. Okay, so only program should be there. So 0 errors, 0 warnings. Okay, so that means no errors. Then execute your program. Now see how many students are there. Now it is asking how many students. Say for example 5 students. Now it displays enter 5 students age values. Now I say 20, 21. Okay, so 24. Okay, assume there is a backlog student in your class. Okay, so then 22. Okay, and a younger one with a 19 years age. Now you can see the age values. Now they are stored in the array. Again from the array we are printing the age values of students 20, 21, 24, 22, 19. Now you can see the space between each value, because I have given percentage 4d, there is a 2 column space between each digit. If you write directly d, how it will be displayed, just see here. If you write percentage d, okay, so 0 errors. Now say enter how many students, 5 students. Okay, so enter you 5 students ages, then say 18. Now you can see here. So that means all the values will be printed one after the other without any space, because you specified percentage d, then immediately from the next position onwards next number will be printed. So you do not know whether it is 22, 21 or 222 followed by 12 or something. Okay, so that's why better in the printf statement use percentage 4d, so that it displays the numbers distinctly with the spaces. Okay, So tomorrow we'll see applications of this one-dimensional array. Okay, so in which type of problems we can use this one-dimensional array. Okay, for example, a simple example, real-time example you can take. For example, in your class, okay, so now I stored all the students' ages. Yes or no? Okay, so just I want to find out who is the oldest student and who is the youngest student. I want to just find out who is the oldest one and who is the youngest one, or elder one and younger one. I want to find out. Okay, so how can I identify? Now I know all the students' ages. Now I want to just find out who is the elder student and who is the younger student. How can I? Now from that list, if I find the maximum age number and the minimum age number, then I can say that this is the oldest student with this age and is the youngest student with this age. Okay, means you are given a list of numbers. Now you can reframe the problem in this. When you are given a list of numbers, okay, so if you can find the maximum number and minimum number, okay, so that is the problem. Okay, this problem in real world can be this way. Okay, so identifying oldest person and youngest person in an organization or students, if you take class students, okay, this is one application. Or in an organization, it can be in other way also. For example, all employee salaries you have stored. Okay, so you want to find out who is highly paid and who is least paid employee. Okay, so which is nothing but it is an application of finding maximum number and minimum number from a given list. Okay, so these are real-time examples. And when there is a list of numbers, when you have a list of numbers to be stored, immediately you should get into mind that you have to use a one-dimensional array. Okay, so in such applications we use one-dimensional array, and tomorrow we'll write programs for those problems. Okay, right, thank you.